Can you imagine a job where the rules didn't just cover what you did at work, but also who you could marry, how you grieved, and even the physical condition of your body? Today, we are diving into an incredibly specific set of ancient laws, the rules for the priesthood in Leviticus 21. These weren't just friendly suggestions, they were a complete blueprint for a life that was set totally apart. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, we have to wrap our heads around one foundational idea: ceremonial uncleanness. This has nothing to do with being physically dirty. It is a ritual state. It meant you were temporarily disqualified from sacred duties, usually because of contact with a dead body. Think of it like a spiritual quarantine.
Why all these intense, demanding rules? The answer is the core principle: being set apart for God. The text tells us flat out that the priests had to be holy because God is holy. Their entire lives were meant to be a living, breathing reflection of the divine character. They were the bridge between the people and God, and that bridge had to be pristine. How does that concept actually play out? The first category deals with death and mourning. The general rule was strict. Priests were told to avoid all contact with death. This created a powerful symbolic dividing line between sacred space and human mortality. But the law wasn't completely heartless. There were a few specific exceptions for the closest possible blood relatives: mother, father, son, daughter, and brother.
Here is where we see a hierarchy of holiness. A regular priest had those few limited exceptions for mourning, but the high priest, he had zero. The text is crystal clear, not even for his father or mother. His role was considered so sacred and unique that he could never, ever enter that state of uncleanness connected to death. This theme of separation doesn't stop at the temple door. It follows the priest right into his family life. A priest's choice of a wife wasn't just a private decision, it had public religious weight. The text explicitly forbids him from marrying a prostitute or a divorced woman. The whole point was to ensure his family life was just as ritually pure as his service at the altar.
Let's circle back to the high priest, because his one-of-a-kind position demanded an even stricter standard. A regular priest couldn't marry a divorcee, but the high priest could only marry a virgin from his own clan. Why the extra strict rule? To ensure he wouldn't dishonor his descendants. The purity of the high priestly line was absolutely essential to ensure the next person to hold the office came from a lineage considered completely holy from the start. This brings us to the final category of rules, which can feel foreign to our modern thinking. It is all about the physical body. If you were a descendant of Aaron but had any kind of physical defect, like being blind, lame, or having a broken foot, you were not qualified to perform the central duty of the priesthood. You were not allowed to approach the sacred altar. The idea was that the person making the offering should reflect physical wholeness, just like the offering itself.
But this is a really crucial point. This was not about shunning someone from the community. A priest with a physical defect was excluded from serving at the altar, but he was still considered part of the priestly family. He could still eat the holy food. This shows us it was a rule about being fit for a specific sacred job, not about a person's fundamental worth. In the ancient world, holiness wasn't just some internal feeling. It was expressed outwardly through your actions, your relationships, and your physical body. This leaves us with two fascinating questions today. What does this intricate link between physical wholeness and ritual action reveal about how the ancient world viewed the human body? And in our own modern work and communities, how do we successfully separate a person's functional role from their fundamental worth and belonging? Take a moment, breath, and let them sink in.